out of the game.
Hi, I'm Kelsa Dickey, the CEO of the Financial Coach Academy and my financial coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. My coaching journey began more than a decade ago with me helping people for free from my dining room table. What was once a little business of mine has grown into a 7-figure company that employs a team of people. My goal is simple, to help you fall more and more in love with financial coaching. I believe financial coaching is the most rewarding way to make a living. If you are an aspiring financial coach or have been coaching for years, I'm here to help you create a business you love that gets your clients massive results. Let's get to it. Hey coaches, welcome to episode 22 of the Financial Coach Academy podcast. We're going to be talking about what if debt payoff wasn't the actual goal today. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic, but a few really quick announcements first. On an upcoming episode of this podcast, I am going to be answering your questions. So if you have a question that you would like for me to answer on air, please head on over to financialcoachacademy.com/podcast, and you can submit your questions using the form. It's really short and fast, I promise. Also, I would like to invite you to join our Facebook community specifically for financial coaches. Doesn't matter if you are brand new to the idea and you're just kind of kicking some tires to see if you like this idea, or if you are a veteran coach and been doing it for a while, or anything in between. It is a beautiful space for you to join. The name of the group, if you head on over to Facebook, is Financial Coaches Unite. It is a free community, great place to go to ask questions about different client situations you have or business strategies you're not sure what to be doing for yourself. All of those types of things, please hop on over and ask to join Financial Coaches Unite. We'll also be continuing conversations from these episodes inside of that group. Also, every single month, I host free virtual meetups for financial coaches and also free training. So if you want to be invited to those, if you'd like to join, please head on over to financialcoachacademy.com/subscribe so you can make sure those are in your inbox. I want to kick off every episode with one of the reviews that somebody has left because I appreciate them so very much. This one is by Susan F. And Susan says, "Love this podcast. So helpful and reinforces what I'm learning in the Financial Coach Academy and in Kelsa's book, The Financial Coaching Playbook." Thank you, Susan. I am so glad that you are loving the podcast. I am loving doing it. Also, I wanted to let you guys know really quickly, last announcement, we're going to dive into the topic for today. Like I've said before, we are hosting a VIP day in Denver on April 29th. The VIP day portion is already sold out, so I'm sorry you can't join me for that. But we are also hosting that evening a happy hour. It is at the Art Hotel Denver Fire Terrace. Art Hotel Denver Fire Terrace on April 29th at 6:30 p.m. It is totally free to join. You'll buy your own drinks once you're there, but we're going to have just a bunch of us get together and talk and meet each other. It's going to be a lot of fun. You do have to RSVP. We just want to make sure we have space enough for everyone and that we get the right size room. So head on over to financialcoachacademy.com. At the top, you'll see events, and under events, you'll see VIP days. Click on that and then scroll to the bottom and you'll see a button to RSVP for the happy hour. So if you're in the Denver area or the surrounding areas and you want to come hang out and have a drink or water, tea, soda, whatever you want, please make sure you RSVP. I would love to see you in Denver on April 29th. We are also hosting a VIP day in Michigan later in the year. It's actually going to be at my lake house in Michigan. So if you want to spend September 16th with me at my Michigan house doing a VIP day, there's more information also at that website that I just listed under events and then VIP day. You can check that out and join me. We do have a few spots open for the September 16th day. All right, let's talk about getting out of debt, you guys. What if I told you that while getting out of debt tends to be the thing most clients say they want? Trust me, I hear it all the time. It's not the actual goal that most clients have. Now, before you DM me and get mad at me, I hope you will hear me out. I believe that getting out of debt is a strategy that might be necessary in order to achieve the actual goal that a client has. I believe that debt can be problematic for some folks. Absolutely, yes. And we may need to prioritize paying off debt in order to be in a better financial position. But that better financial position is the goal, and getting out of debt is the method of reaching that goal. Okay. Now, I realize this is a pretty big shift from what most financial coaches, financial experts, sort of the way debt is talked about, how we mostly think about debt. I know that this is a little bit of a departure. I realize I may get some pushback for this. It's okay. I'm open to us having this conversation. I hope that you will love this approach as much as I do. But either way, let me know. We'll have a whole conversation about it in the Facebook group, okay? From my experience, what I have seen and heard from working one-on-one with clients for 15 years is that when we shift their perspective on debt, when we shift from solely sort of running away from their debt, which tends to be a lot of people's focus, and sort of running away from this bad situation that they think they put themselves in, which is all too often how the conversation around debt is had. And we shift the conversation toward focusing on what they're running toward. The transformation is powerful, like really and truly powerful. Now, some of you may be thinking right now, but isn't it the same thing? And I promise you it's not. I talk a lot in these episodes about how a client's buy-in is critical, and that should be our focus, right? The difference in what I'm talking about with these two perspectives is a client who gets out of debt because there's a problem that needs fixed, or maybe there was a mistake that they made and they did it wrong and they should or need to get out of debt in order for it to be right? Versus a client who is running toward their future and seeing getting out of debt as simply a step in the process. It's quite literally the difference between a client who gets out of debt because they have the thought, I have to do this or else, or the thought, debt is bad, I must clean this up, or they're saying, I want to do this because the future is mine to create. It's the difference between obligation and desire. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It's the difference between a client who is getting out of debt because they have the thought, I have to do this or else, or debt is bad, I must clean this up, I must fix this. And conversely, the desire, which is, I want to do this because my future is mine to create, or I care enough about my future to do this for myself, okay? In one instance, it's obligation, or I have to do this because something is wrong and it needs fixed. And in the other one, it's desire. I desire more for myself. I desire for my future to be different, and I can't make it different with this debt sort of dragging it along with me. Okay, so why is it a problem if debt is seen as the primary issue or problem? Let's talk about that. Why would I want an entire episode dedicated to this topic? What impact do I see it having on you, the coach, but also the client? Let me share a few of those, and then we'll explore how I would navigate this conversation around debt with the client instead. The way debt is often talked about now assumes a person isn't financially smart or stable if they have debt. If we're not careful, though, debt is treated as an identifier of the person's capabilities or financial position. If you have debt, you're in trouble. If you don't have debt, you're amazing. Life is not that black and white, people. It's just not. I have a whole bunch of clients who are amazingly successful with money. They make smart, calculated decisions. They never assume too much risk, but yes, they sometimes use debt in a very strategic way. They are financial badasses, and yet they have debt. I also have a whole bunch of clients who never use debt. They too are smart and strategic, and they are growing their wealth in a way that feels really great to them. They too are financial badasses who simply choose to reach their goals without using debt as one of their methods. The key point in this example is that debt is not a determining factor of how strong, solid, savvy, or amazing you are or confident that you are with money. It's just not. Here's another issue that I sort of take with all of this. I think that we talk about debt so extensively that people without debt actually see themselves as being good with money. And again, I just don't think it should be a qualifier one way or the other. Do you know how many times I am talking with someone, and honestly, oftentimes this is another financial coach, and they say something like, I'm doing pretty good with my money. I don't have any debt. How many times have you yourself had that thought if you don't have debt? Because like I said, I hear it from financial coaches probably the most. Debt has become this indicator of success, and I think that's dangerous. Individuals with debt could benefit from working with a financial coach. Individuals without debt could benefit from working with a financial coach just as much as those with debt. And yet by all of us positioning debt as some great evil, it becomes this baseline that people shoot for. When I think the standard could be set much higher. And I think those reframes come from me and you as their coach. So the way that we talk about this stuff really matters to the grand scheme of things. If debt payoff is the target, then coaching ends once the debt is paid off. Or progress sometimes ends once the debt is paid off. But getting out of debt isn't the end of a client's financial journey. So painting it as some miraculous milestone or miraculous cure-all is false. I also think that positioning debt in this way sort of makes it seem as if a person who gets out of debt, it's going to solve all their problems. Like the debt is the thing holding them back from feeling good about their finances. If you've paid off your debt, chances are it was a bit anticlimactic, and that's because who you became in the process of paying off your debt was the important part, right? When Michael and I got out of debt ourselves, we had $60,952 of debt that we paid off. And I knew months in advance. I knew months ahead of time that it was going to happen. I could see it. I just had to wait for the paychecks to come in, right? I was already the person who got herself out of debt even before the debt was gone. And that is the shift that we want our clients to gain from coaching. I want you to think about your own debt payoff journey if you experienced one yourself, coach. And I want you to think about at what point you felt yourself changing. You felt yourself growing into a more skilled financial person. And chances are, even before the debt was paid off, you just knew it was going to happen. It was like only a matter of time, right? But sometimes you just have to wait for the money to come in to actually send it to the debt. And then we pay off the debt. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I think we don't talk about this enough as financial coaches. We want this debt payoff moment to be like just so celebratory and amazing. And it can be for sure. But it's also a little anticlimactic sometimes. It's kind of like, yeah, all right, cool. So what's next kind of thing, right? And I think that's because chances are you saw it coming. You were already the person who got out of debt before the official debt was paid off, if that makes sense. And I think that if we're not careful, focusing too much on debt distracts both the coach and the client from paying attention to other things that I think are more important. It becomes too narrow a focus unless we have conversations like this one. So thank you for joining me today and hearing me out on today's episode so that we can simply explore the conversation around debt and the messaging around it in a more nuanced fashion. Another reason I think focusing on debt, is, a cause for trouble is because from my experience, debt is rarely the primary problem. All too often, debt is simply a symptom of another problem. But to say that to a client, right, can sometimes come across as, so you've actually got something else wrong with you. There's this other problem besides your debt that we need to address instead. So you can't really approach it in that way, right? So the approach that I use helps them to get out of debt, but also frees up our focus to be looking at other things so that we're optimizing their finances all at the same time while getting out of debt. So what questions can you ask the client? First question is, why do you want to get out of debt? And you've got to listen really carefully to their answers to this question, coach. You want to watch for cues of shame or obligation or pressure, lots of shoulds, that kind of thing. What you're looking for is something other than an external driver. So you don't really want it to be something outside of them. Ideally, you're looking to discover and helping the client to discover their internal driver for getting out of debt. In other words, the question you're really wanting to try and help them determine is, what's in it for you if you get out of debt? What is in it for you? Why is this important to you, right? How is this going to make your life better? Okay, another question you can ask is, fast forward to a day in the future when you're out of debt. What's that feel like? What's that free up for you? What's different about how you make decisions or spend or think or feel about money because you don't have debt? Like, what are you envisioning is going to change either about the way you think, you feel, you spend, the decisions you make, all of those types of things that is different from how you can do it today because you have debt today, right? Now, here's the thing. All of the things they list when they answer this question, those are the things they really want. That is their goal. All of those things become the actual goal, and getting out of debt is just the how. It's just the strategy we're going to use to achieve these types of things. There have been times where a client has said, because I want to be able to change careers, but I can't do that with the debt that I have because it causes me too much stress, or it's like I feel too unstable with the debt that I have. And it's like, so the goal is that you can actually change jobs, right? There's another time where a client said, because I want to be able to buy a house and I don't feel like I can with the debt that I have. Great. Okay. So your goal is to buy a house. Now, getting out of debt, yes, may be a method. It may be a milestone we want to achieve in order for you to achieve this goal of yours. But the goal is the house. Okay. This question, coach, also gives you great awareness for your marketing. Okay, because we need to be talking about the ultimate desires that our clients have in our marketing. And this is how we find out what those are. You can also ask, what if you were able to achieve those things while you still had your debt? Would you believe me? It is possible. And I think this is true for a lot of our clients when they first come to us. They never really considered that thanks to the messaging that is so pervasive in our world about debt, that they could actually achieve the things they want to achieve. They could feel better. They could think differently. They could make different decisions. They could create the ability to say yes to specific opportunities they want to say yes to, even while they are getting out of debt. And oftentimes, they've never considered that as a possibility. This is that black and white thinking that we were talking about a couple of episodes ago that can be really dangerous and toxic, right? It's like I either have debt and cannot live my life the way I want, or I don't have debt and now all of a sudden everything is miraculously better and I can make different decisions and feel better about my money. When really, what is the middle ground there, right? Let's explore the gray area. You can also ask, what benefits has your debt provided? So part of my coaching around clients with debt is that I want to help them come to peace with the debt, okay? I will ask them, I'll give them an assignment where I want them to think of 10 to 12 purchases that went on a credit card, let's say, that added value to their life. What gains or benefits did you experience from your student loans, for example? In other words, what I think is a really important sort of shift to make for a lot of clients is that debt isn't all bad all of the time. Again, there is that black and white thinking we've talked about. I like to think of debt sort of like a Marie Kondo approach. If you don't know who Marie Kondo is, she's got a great show. I think it's on Netflix where she helps people organize their house, but she teaches people that before you pitch something, before you get rid of something, you think that item for what it gave you while you owned it. So for any benefit, right? So I know after I had my daughter and I gained a lot of weight during my pregnancy, I bought a bunch of clothes during that period of time. And then when we were going through organizing our house and I had lost some weight, I purged a bunch of those clothes. And when I did that, I thanked each item for giving me confidence after I had my daughter at a time of my life when I didn't recognize my body. Now, I might not like those clothes today. I might not go out and buy those clothes today if I had the option to, but I did like them at one point. At one point, I was doing my best. And I truly believe that our clients are too. I think most people, when they get into debt, it's not like, well, this is stupid, I'm going to do it anyway. Or, oh my God, I totally shouldn't do this. Haha, watch me do it. I just don't think people do that. I think a lot of the times they're simply just getting by. They are making decisions based on what they think and know at the time, and they are just doing their best, right? And chances are something went on that debt. Something was created by that debt that was helpful. It was beneficial. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all frivolous spending. It wasn't all sort of ignorant or stupid or any of those things, right? And I want our clients to come at it with a more balanced approach, right? Like, and not forget about the good that it did provide at some point as well. Maybe they put a brand new outfit on on a credit card so that they could feel more confident going to a job interview that created a $10,000 bigger salary per year than what they had before, right? Or maybe they ended up paying for a medical bill or a car repair or something like that they just didn't have the money for, but that car gets them to and from their job, right? In other words, they probably did their best, and we simply want to point out that it wasn't all bad all of the time, okay? This is coming to peace with the debt a little bit, right? I will also ask clients, do you believe your debt is evil? There is this idea that you should hate your way out of debt, and I passionately disagree with that. I think you can feel grateful for what the debt gave you. You can acknowledge that you did your best or that you could have done better even, and still want to pay off your debts with that energy. Those two things, valuing your debt for what it gave you at the time and paying it off, are not mutually exclusive. They can happen at the exact same time. Did you do the best you could at the time? That's another question that I ask clients. Did you know better? Did you have another option, right? Owning that we're not perfect, that we make mistakes, that we're not alone in these types of decisions, right? That this may not be the last time that we end up putting something on our credit card, and that doesn't make us bad. This isn't an identity, right? How our clients view those mistakes is really important. And again, we talked about shame a couple of episodes. A lot of times clients get out of debt from a shame perspective, and I want to shift that. Okay, this isn't about being ashamed of the past decisions. This is about loving your future so much that this is the step you're taking because you care that much about your future. This is a subtle difference, but a significant and important one. Personally, I graduated with $30,000 in student loan debt, but I met Mr. Fiscal Fitness, Michael, in college. I met my very best friends who I talk to every single day, two girlfriends that know more about me, that I feel my life would not be what it is today if I did not have these two women in my life. I met them at college. I found myself at college. College was my escape from a life and a childhood and some family dynamics that were not healthy. And I was a first generation college student. And after I went to college, both of my sisters did too. And I honestly look at that as like me going to college changed the trajectory of my life, but also my family's life, my sisters' lives. And yes, I took out student loans to do that. And honestly, I think it was worth every damn penny. I really do. I would have taken out, if I know what I know now, I would have taken out more student loans if I had to. I got some scholarships. I was very blessed, was pretty active in high school and got good grades and that kind of thing, was able to get some scholarships for the rest. But I do not begrudge my student loans at all. And I got out of debt really quickly outside of college. Michael and I both did. But we did it from a really positive place. And I believe that that is true for everybody. I think it's possible for everybody. Here are just some of the shifts that we make by asking these questions. Debt is actually anticlimactic. It's who you become in the process of paying off your debts that matters most. We are giving clients that new shift to focus on growth versus some arbitrary milestone. Another shift is getting out of debt is important because of the role it plays in your ability to achieve your other goals. Okay? Another reframe. The client has buy-in for the journey. It's the difference between a fad diet versus a lifestyle change. Am I losing weight because I'm ashamed of the way I look and I hate my body? Or am I losing weight because I love my body and want to take care of it for the future? That is literally the shift we're making when it comes to debt. This is a seed planting activity. We're talking about debt as a perspective of the role it plays in the trajectory of their future and their financial journey as a whole. And we're tying it to what they actually want to achieve, which makes getting out of debt feel bigger for them. It's a bigger why. It's an internal driver as opposed to some external trigger because debt is evil. One of the things I tell my clients all the time is your credit card is just a piece of plastic. It is not evil. It's not holy. It has no power. Credit cards are simply a tool for some clients, and they're just not a tool that other clients want to use. It is a choice, right? For some people, it's a method that they can use really well, and for other people, it's not. But there's nothing evil about credit cards, okay? I also see one big shift that happens when we position the conversation this way, that transitioning clients away from feeling motivated when they need to fix something versus when they simply want to go from good to great. If we are not careful, the way we talk about debt could motivate people to make changes when it gets really bad or when something needs to be fixed or solved. Like it's a problem and the problem has gotten so bad that now it, warrants my attention. That is not a sustainable way to grow your wealth over time, right? There's a lot of times where it's like, hey, there is nothing wrong. And a lot of people would love to have the financial position that I have, and I can still want more. I can still want to strive for the next thing, right? So after a while, there is no problem necessarily. It's that the client just wants more for their life. And we want to shift that perspective as quickly as possible in the beginning of their financial journey if we can, okay? Once we know what a person wants to do that they feel they cannot do with their debt, that becomes the goal. When we hear how a client wants to feel and that they're not able to feel that way because of the debt, that is the feeling that we're shooting for. That's what we're trying to help them create, whether they have debt or not, okay? We get super clear on those things. And then we determine what role debt is playing in those things, right? Is debt really holding you back from being able to move forward in this way? Or is debt just part of your financial picture? Maybe it's slowing down your progress. Maybe it's playing no role at all, right? Yes, we may want to pay off the debt. Sometimes we want to pay it off quickly. Sometimes it's having a huge impact in what that goal is for themselves. And other times it's just something that we can work on paying down, but we can minimize how it's affecting you financially while we're in the process of paying it down. And we can work towards your other goals at the exact same time. Okay. We may want to pay off the debt, but I really want to make sure that clients are not doing it because they're running away from the debt. They're running away from a past mistake. They're sort of like doing it from this negative place, but because they're running toward their future that is more in alignment with what they want out of their life. Okay. Really important shift. And I firmly believe that if we as financial coaches dig a little deeper with our clients, we uncover what they really want for their lives, we will be a witness to greater transformations, a happier, more fulfilling journey of growth, and even greater financial success, because this is where their motivation comes from. It doesn't sway in the wind when they talk to somebody else. It is their truth. Okay. But in order to create that, it requires us to abandon our preconceived ideas of debt and have brave conversations with our clients on what they truly desire. Coaching is all about figuring out what you think of something and how that is impacting how you feel and then the actions you take. In order to honor the coaching philosophy, I like to end every episode with a question for you to reflect and ponder on for yourself. The purpose is to deepen your awareness and help you gain clarity on today's episode topic. It also creates the opportunity for you to share your thoughts with me and with other financial coaches. So let's get the discussion going. going. I'm sure this will be a hot topic for conversation. I would love to hear from you. If you are watching on YouTube, drop a comment with your answer to today's question, or you can join the conversation in our free community for financial coaches. Hop on over to Facebook and search for Financial Coaches Unite and ask to join. So here is your question. What do you think? Share with me what is percolating in your brain. Do you plan to explore this perspective a bit more with your clients? Do you passionately disagree with this premise? Does this make total sense to you and you feel excited to shift the way you're going to coach your clients around their debt? Any answer is beautiful. I hope you will share your thoughts with me. In the next episode, I'm going to share 5 strategies we use for coaching clients who do want to pay off their debt. So once that is determined to be the step that is necessary to reach their other goal, how do we get out of debt? I think there are 5 different strategies, and I'm going to talk about those 5 strategies in the next episode. I believe financial coaching is the best and most rewarding way to make a living. I truly love what I do. If you're ready to learn and see how to become a profitable, successful financial coach, check us out at financialcoachacademy.com to learn more about our online courses, free training, and events. As always, I love hearing from you. If you have any questions for the podcast and want them answered on an upcoming episode, submit them at financialcoachacademy.com/podcast. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would mean the world to me. I will see you next week, Coach.